stack on top of each other.
It is.
Wouldn't it be the same kind of question of what is life?
It is the same. Well, that's sort of like I try to fold all of the questions into that question because I think that one's really hard. And I think the nature of existence is really hard.
You think actually like answering what is life will help us understand existence? Maybe there's it's turtles all the way down. It'll just understanding the nature of turtles will help us kind of march down, even if we don't have the experimental methodology of reaching before the Big Bang.
Right. So, well, I think there's sort of two questions embedded here. I think the one that we can answer by answering life is why certain things exist and others don't. But I think the sort of ultimate question, the sort of like prime mover question of why anything exists, we will not be able to answer.
What's outside the universe?
Oh, there's nothing outside the universe. So I have a very, I am like the most physicalist that like anyone could be. So like for me, everything exists in our universe. And I like to like think it like everything exists here. So even when we talk about the multiverse, I don't like, to me, it's not like there's all these other universes outside of our universe that exist. The multiverse is a concept that exists in human minds here. And it allows us to have some counterfactual reasoning to reason about our own cosmology. And therefore it's causal in our biosphere to understanding the reality that we live in and building better theories. But I don't think that the multiverse is something like, and also math. Like, I don't think there's a platonic world that mathematical things live in. I think mathematical things are here on this planet. Like, I don't think it makes sense to talk about things that exist outside of the universe. If you're talking about them, you're already talking about something that exists inside the universe and is part of the universe and is part of like what the universe is building.
It all originates here. It all exists here in some.
I mean, what else would there be?
There could be things you can't possibly understand outside of all of this that we call the universe.
But and you can say that, and that's an interesting philosophy. But again, this is sort of like pushing on the boundaries of like the way that we understand things. I think it's more constructive to say the fact that I can talk about those things is telling me something about the structure of where I actually live and where I exist.
Just because it's more constructive doesn't mean it's true.
Well, it may not be true. It may be something that allows me to build better theories I can test to try to understand something objective.
And in the end, that's a good way to get to the truth.
Exactly.
Even if you realize
so I can't do
you
experiments.
were wrong in the past.
Yeah. So there's no such thing as experimental Platonism. But if you think math is an object that emerged in our biosphere, you can start experimenting with that idea. And that to me is really interesting. Like to think about, well, mathematicians do think about math sometimes as an experimental science, but to think about math itself as as object for study by physicists rather than a tool physicists use to describe reality, it becomes the part of reality they're trying to describe, to me is a deeply interesting inversion.
What to you is most beautiful about this kind of exploration of the physics of life that you've been doing?
I love the way it makes me feel.
And then you have to try to convert the feelings into visuals and the visuals into words.
Yeah, so I think I love, I love the way it makes me feel to have ideas that I think are novel. And I think that the dual side of that is the painful process of trying to communicate that with other human beings to test if they have any kind of reality to them. And I also love that process. I love trying to figure out how to explain really deep, abstract things that I don't think that we understand and trying to understand them with other people. And I also love the shock value of this kind of idea we were talking about before of like being on the boundary of like what we understand. And so people can kind of see what you're seeing, but they haven't ever saw it that way before. And I love the shock value that like people have, like that immediate moment of recognizing that there's something beyond the way that they thought about things before, and being able to deliver that to people, I think is one of the biggest joys that I have, is just like, maybe it's that sense of mystery, like to share that there's something beyond the frontier of how we understand and we might be able to see it.
And you get to see the humans transformed by a new idea.
Yes. And I think my greatest wish in life is to somehow contribute to an idea that transforms the way that we think. Like I have my problem I want to solve, but like the thing that gives me joy about it is really changing something. And ideally getting to a deeper understanding of how the world works and what we are.
Yeah, I would say